O eternal and almighty God, from whom all power and wisdom come, we are assembled here before thee to frame such laws as may tend to the welfare and prosperity of our province. Grant, O merciful God, we pray thee, that we may desire only that which is in accordance with thy will, that we may seek it with wisdom and know it with certainty and accomplish it perfectly, for the glory and honor of thy name and for the welfare of all our people. Amen. We acknowledge we are gathered on Treaty 1 territory, and that Manitoba is located on the treaty territories and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabe, Dakota Oete, Dene, Tsuut'ina, and Neothog nations. We acknowledge Manitoba is located on the homeland of the Red River Métis. We acknowledge northern Manitoba includes lands that were and are the ancestral lands of the Inuit. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. Please be seated. Routine proceedings, introduction of bills. The Honourable Member for Midland.
I move, seconded by the MLA for Portage La Prairie, that Bill number 211, the Budget Bill Public Accountability Act, be now read for a first time.
Thank you. It's been moved by the Honourable Member for Midland, seconded by the Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie, that Bill number 211, the Budget Bill Public Accountability Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Member for Midland.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. This bill will require any budget bills that implement the budget must be referred to a standing committee that allows members of the public to make representations. This new requirement will mean there will be at least 10 hours of committee hearings and ensure adequate public scrutiny of government expenditures and budget measures, ensuring that the Finance Minister, the government, and the Legislative Assembly are held publicly accountable for the decisions being made. This bill will ensure that budget bills cannot be passed without going to committee or without adequate debate, as what has happened in recent years. I look forward to the support of the Assembly and the Finance Minister for this bill to improve accountability to Manitoba taxpayers.
Hear, hear.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. No further introduction of bills, committee reports, tabling of reports, ministerial statements. The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise today solemnly recognizing the anniversary of the Holodomor, a genocide that took place in Ukraine between 1932 and 1933. In Canada, we recognize the Ukrainian Holodomor Memorial Day on the fourth Saturday of November. On this day, people of this province, along with Ukrainians around the world, recall the tragedy of deliberate, stated, sanctioned famine that took place. Holodomor translates to the death by hunger, but that forced people to live and work on some of the most fertile land. Stalin deliberately policies result in land and crops forcibly taken away from the people. Without access to food, Ukraine, once the European breadbasket, became the place of suffering without rescue or escape, and as people were prevented from leaving the country. Millions of men and women and children starved. Homicide, Honourable Speaker, today Holodomor is recognized for what it was, a genocide. It was purposely done in an effort to break the backs of the Ukrainian people. Yet we see through the immense struggle people have preserved. Ukrainians proved the strength of human spirit. This event strengthens the will for self-determination that remains present today in the spirit that we carry throughout the world. In Manitoba, Ukrainian roots run deep. 1 in 7 Manitobans are of Ukrainian heritage, including me. It's proud heritage of our multicultural province. Manitobans, all backgrounds, have stood together, allies, in honoring of those who lost, and the Ukrainians continue to work in their future. Honourable Speaker, we support Ukraine. We stand in solidarity with them and those impacted by the ongoing conflict with Putin and unjust war. We welcome the Ukrainian Canadian Congress with us as a reminder of the past honor of those fighting today. Thank you, Joanne Lewandowski, and the team here joining us. As members of the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, we are united in memory of Ukrainians lost in the Holodomor. May we always remember, Slava Ukraini!
The honourable member for Lac du Bonnet.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Tomorrow, November 22nd, communities around the world will observe Holodomor Memorial Day. Today, I rise to recognize this solemn anniversary and to honor the millions who perished in the Holodomor, the genocide and state-engineered famine that devastated Ukraine in 1932 and 1933. The Holodomor was not the result of crop failure or natural hardship. It was an intentional act of brutality orchestrated by Stalin's Soviet regime as a means of crushing Ukrainian identity and resistance. Entire families vanished. Rural farmers who had long nurtured Ukraine's fertile fields were stripped of their harvests and starved by the tens of thousands each day. At the height of this genocide, 28,000 people died every day. Behind those numbers were human beings, children with dreams, parents with hope for their families and communities whose futures were stolen. Honourable Speaker, last night I had the pleasure, I guess, of being invited by Mia Shikota, who did a memorial outside the steps of the Manitoba Legislature, and I was joined by my colleague, the MLA for Swan River, the MLA for Fort Garry, and also the Minister of Agriculture. 750 little pairs of shoes were put out on the steps of the Legislature with a candle by each one of them, representing the children that have either been killed, stolen, lost, and we know that there's many, many more that have not been accounted for. And just in the last few days, there were more to be added to that list, unfortunately. Yesterday was also World Children's Day, and President Zelensky had moved the Ukrainian World Children's Day from June to yesterday to match up with the rest of the world, celebrating those young lives that we have that will be our future leaders, not only in this country, this province, but in the rest of the world. There is a quote, Honourable Speaker, I know that I'm getting close to the time that the Minister of Agriculture had mentioned, but I would like to say also that I know that this present government had brought forward Holocaust education into our curriculum. I know that as a previous education minister, we are working on both the Holocaust education.
Member's time has expired. Is there leave for the member to conclude his member statement? The leave has been granted, but I would make it short. The honourable member for Lac du Bonnet.
I'd like to thank each and every one of my colleagues for extending the ministerial response, and I do want to thank the minister for bringing forward the ministerial statement today. So as I was saying, as previous education minister, we were working on the Holocaust curriculum to be included in the education, the K-12 education. And we were also working on the Holodomor education, history, culture, because as we all know, with many of our different, various different cultures, our Canadians here living in Manitoba, we want to celebrate the culture and the identity and make sure that our students are learning the history of this great province of ours. And so I'm calling on the government to, on behalf of Ukrainians, to bring forward that education part of the curriculum and just basically gives the Premier the opportunity to actually announce it. With that, Honourable Speaker, I have many more words to say on this topic, but I'm going to leave it at that. I want to thank Joan Lewandowski and the rest of the Ukrainian Canadian Congress for being here as well, and all your efforts on making sure that that this is never forgotten. Honourable Speaker, at the end of this, I'm also asking for a moment of silence from everyone in here. Slava Ukraini.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Honourable Speaker, I ask for leave to respond to the Minister's statement.
Does the honourable member for Tyndall Park have leave to respond? Yes. Agreed. The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Honourable Speaker, we rise today to remember those from Ukraine, those who suffered the horror of the genocide, the Holodomor. Here in Manitoba, we have a very strong presence of Ukrainian heritage that continues to rapidly grow. We are fortunate to have such an active Ukrainian community that helps educate us on the history of Ukraine and the realities being faced to this day. Honourable Speaker, the Holodomor, a famine imposed on Ukraine, began through waves of deportation of Ukraine's farmers and deportation and executions of Ukraine's religious, intellectual, and cultural leaders. About 8 years ago, I had the opportunity to visit Ukraine, where I experienced the National Museum Memorial to Holodomor victims. It was an intense experience, and from my own understanding, it is where the Holodomor really came to life. The museum teaches us just how horrific the famine was, and it portrays the pain and suffering that millions of people were forced to endure. The entrance of the museum still sits prominently in my memory. 2 angels, the angels of sorrow, who represent the guardians of the souls who starved. We can also reflect upon the statue that we have the honor of having here on the legislative grounds, a young girl clutching a handful of wheat. This statue is titled The Bitter Memories of Childhood, and it has been dedicated to the most vulnerable victims of starvation. Honourable Speaker, we must continue to share these stories and talk about the history and remembrance and the hope to learn from the past. I'd like to thank those who have joined us today in the galleries, as well as the Minister for bringing forward today's statement. Thank you.
Is there leave for a moment of silence? Agreed. Thank you. Member statements. The honourable member for Elmwood.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Last weekend, Winnipeg hosted the 112th Grey Cup, and thousands of fans from across the country came to celebrate. It was a big moment for our city and for Manitoba. The stadium was packed, the streets were busy, and the atmosphere was electric with Manitoba Katie St. Germain singing "O Canada." This wasn't just a football game, it was a major event that gave our economy a real boost. Manitoba saw close to $90 million in new economic activity, and over $8 million went straight to the provincial tax revenues. Events like this show what we can do when we bring people together. Workers picked up extra shifts, shops saw new customers, hotels were booked solid, with more than 5,000 rooms reserved each night. Restaurants had lineups out the door. Downtown Winnipeg was alive with visitors enjoying the Grey Cup Festival and everything our city has to offer. And while this was the first Grey Cup in 5 years, without the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on the field, the city still came together in true Manitoba fashion. The week reminded us that the Grey Cup is more than just a championship game. It's a uniquely Canadian celebration of community pride and unity. After all, the Grey Cup belongs to all of us and is a reflection of our shared identity and ability to come together across provinces, languages, and backgrounds. Winnipeg once again proved why we're known as Friendly Manitoba. We welcomed guests with open arms and showed the country what makes our city special. The energy, pride, and sense of community were felt everywhere. Thank you to everyone who helped make the Grey Cup a success, from the volunteers to business owners to all our fans. You helped put Manitoba on the map.
The honourable member for Brandon West.
It's a true honor to stand before you today to recognize Peter Sawatsky, his incredible work, and his lasting contribution to the Brandon Riverbank. I'm joined in the gallery today by Peter himself and Dean Hammond, Executive Director of the Riverbank Discovery Centre, and many of Peter's friends and family. Peter Sawatsky is not just a sculptor, he's a storyteller in bronze, a visionary who captures the spirit of the wild with breathtaking realism. Born in Summerfeld, Manitoba, Peter's journey from farm boy to internationally acclaimed artist is a testament to the power and passion and perseverance. His work, like the Seal River Crossing and Curious Black Bear, now grace the Peter Sawatsky Sculpture Garden at the Brandon Riverbank. Nestled along the Assiniboine River corridor, this garden has been in the making since 2015. It reflects years of vision, planning, and collaboration, and I want to emphasize the partnership with the Brandon Riverbank team has been nothing short of outstanding. Together, they've created more than a space for art. They've built a sanctuary of reflection, inspiration, and connection with nature. As you walk through the garden, you'll encounter a series of bronze sculptures that speak to Peter's deep reverence for wildlife in the prairie landscape. Anchored by the Caribou Gateway Plaza, each piece invites you to pause, to wonder, and to appreciate the beauty that surrounds us. This project has also been made possible through the generosity of our community, family donations, and a significant contribution from the PC government. Their support has turned this dream into reality. So today, we don't just recognize sculptures, we celebrate a legacy of art, nature, and community spirit. Thank you, Peter, for sharing your gift with us, and thank you to everyone who helped bring this vision to life. Honourable Speaker, I ask that my guests be added to Hansard, and I ask all my colleagues to rise and recognize world-renowned artist Peter Sawatsky.
The honourable member for Thompson.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Today I rise to share my excitement about the Churchill Project, a bold vision for northern prosperity that is moving forward in a big way. Members of this House know the importance of Churchill and the potential it holds. What's new and worth celebrating is that both our provincial government and the federal government are stepping up together to make this vision a reality. In Budget 2025, the federal government announced supports for Churchill under its nation-building project and strategies. Here in Manitoba, our government is committing $51 million to the Arctic Gateway Group for upgrades to the Hudson Bay Rail Line and the construction of a new critical mineral storage facility. This brings Manitoba's total investment to $87.5 million. Combined with our federal funding, the joint investment now totals $262.5 million over 5 years, almost $250 million for northern Manitoba. Honourable Speaker, this project is reconciliation in action. Our government will soon introduce legislation to create Manitoba's Indigenous Crown Indigenous Corporation, ensuring Indigenous nations have a real voice and a real stake in development. This approach puts Indigenous equity ownership at the heart of the Churchill Project, while protecting rights and lands and creating great jobs in the north. Expanded port capacity through Hudson's Bay will strengthen our trade with Europe and other partners, while connecting Churchill more deeply to the rest of Canada. But just as importantly, it will bring lasting benefits to northern communities. More employment, better infrastructure, and new opportunities for local businesses and families. It means more young people can build their future at home, and more communities can thrive with dignity and economic security. This is how we build one Manitoba, where reconciliation drives opportunity and every community shares in our success. Honourable Speaker.
Hear, hear.
The honourable member for Lakeside.
Honourable Speaker, I rise today to recognize the upcoming Municipal Government Awareness Week and to acknowledge the essential role municipalities play in building strong, vibrant communities across Manitoba. Municipal governments deliver the services that shape daily life. They're the level of government closest to the people, and their work forms tie the foundation upon which our communities thrive. But behind every service and every decision are the municipal officials who step forward to serve. These individuals take on immense responsibility, often while balancing full-time careers, families, farms, and community obligations. They endure long nights, tight budgets, and difficult choices that rarely please everyone. Their work is rarely applauded and often misunderstood, yet they do it because they care deeply about their neighbors and their communities. That level of commitment is a true sacrifice, and it deserves our respect. Honourable Speaker, we must also confront the growing climate of political intimidation facing municipal leaders. What happened recently in the arm of Taché, where elected officials face threats and harassment, is completely unacceptable. Disagreements are part of democracy, but they never justify violence, intimidation, or personal attacks. Elected officials are ordinary people, people you'd meet at the grocery store or the curling rink. They deserve the same courtesy and decency we extend to any fellow Manitoban. Municipal leaders must make decisions in the best interest of their communities as a whole, even when those decisions are difficult or unpopular. That is the essence of public service. Next week, as municipal officials gather for their AMM Fall Convention, we honor not just the work municipalities do, but the people who devote themselves to it. Their sacrifice and dedication strengthen Manitoba. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The honourable member for Spruce Woods.
Honourable Speaker, let me begin with truth that should stop every one of us in our tracks. Somewhere in Manitoba tonight, someone is terrified to go home, and not because of a stranger, but because of a person who claims to love them. That is the reality of intimate partner violence, and it is happening every single day in communities across our province. IPV is not a private matter. It is a crisis. It affects people of every age, background, and income. Behind every incident is a person living with fear, control, and emotional or physical harm, often with children witnessing it and carrying those scars forward. We cannot look away. Our shelters, crisis lines, police, social workers, and community advocates work tirelessly to support survivors. Their dedication saves lives, but they cannot do this alone. If we are serious about ending intimate partner violence, we must turn awareness into action. Prevention, education, and long-term stable funding, culturally safe supports, and trauma-informed services. And above all, we must believe survivors when they reach out. To every survivor, your courage is seen, your voice matters, and your safety is right, not a privilege. Home should never be the most dangerous place in someone's life. It's time we confront intimate partner violence with urgency it demands. I want to thank Dr. Michael Ellis for his work on IPV, and in attendance, Dr. Kendra Nixon of the University of Manitoba, Delma McLeod, psychiatric nurse, and a strong survivor, Stacey Hainsworth, Sam Dreger, her support. Thank you.
Prior to oral questions, there are some guests in the gallery I'd like to introduce. I'd like to draw the attention of all honourable members to the public gallery, where we have with us today Ivan Kutsak and Joan Lewandowski, who are guests of the Honourable Minister of Agriculture. We welcome you here today. Also seated in the public gallery, we have with us today David Locke, Allison Locke, Hubert Thoreau, Dean Hammond, Marv Goosen, Cheryl Goosen, Bob Williams, Heather Williams, Andrew McKinley, Rachel McKinley, who are the guests of the Honourable Member for Brandon West. And on behalf of all honourable members, we welcome you here today. And as previously mentioned, in the public gallery is Stacey Hainsworth, Dr. Kendra Nixon, Delma McLeod, and Sam Dreger, who are guests of the Honourable Member for Spruce Woods. And on behalf of all honourable members, we welcome you here today. Oral questions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm going to take a different approach today. The Premier does not want to answer any questions on why Manitoba's economy is dead last in Canada, why Manitoba lost 1,300 net jobs in the last 2 months, why grocery prices are at a record high, cost of living, education, property taxes have all gone up. So I'll ask a kinder question, a question of empathy and compassion, a question to which this Premier and the Minister of Health can alone give the answer of hope to. Will the Premier approve the coverage of the life-saving drug for Manitoban-born and raised Jeremy Bray? The Premier, with one word, can give Jeremy and his family hope. Will the Premier say yes today?
The Honourable First Minister.
I want to begin by giving Jeremy a shout out. I know that he's devoted a ton of effort towards his advocacy on this, and the Minister of Health and our government have definitely heard your message. That's why many months ago already, we were in contact with Roche, the pharmaceutical manufacturer, advocating for an arrangement so that you could get the medication that you are requesting. At the same time, we're asking the regulator at the federal level to approve this drug coverage. And this is where the issue becomes complicated because it is not approved. And the federal regulator has communicated with our team about that. But we continue to be on your side, Jeremy. And you have a strong ally in the Minister of Health, who I know is planning to meet with you again soon. And so we'll keep working for your health care the same way that we work for everyone's health care here in Manitoba.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
Does the Premier simply have no compassion in his heart? He can just say yes. A shout out is not a yes. A for-profit pharmaceutical company said yes. Other provinces are saying yes. Saskatchewan, Alberta, Ontario are all covering this medication of people over the age of 25 like Jeremy. The Premier and the Minister of Health have the power. They have the authority to say yes. I'm simply asking, will the Premier say yes today and cover the cost for Jeremy Bray to live the rest of his life? Thank you.
Here, here.
The Honourable First Minister.
Yeah, Jeremy, we've got a ton of compassion, and our heart certainly goes out to you. We admire the amazing effort and courage that you've shown in advocating for your health care. We know that Roche, the drug company in question, has been trying to get this drug approved, but it is not approved in Canada. You will know, Honourable Speaker, that in other instances where we're able to work with the federal regulator to quickly get drugs approved, we have provided coverage. Very recently, there was a case for a young family in the Hanover area in which our health minister expedited the coverage in response to the approval of the drug. But we have to balance safety for the patient. And the federal regulator is doing their best to consider patient safety in all situations. And so we'll continue working with them, and certainly, Jeremy, our health minister will continue working with you.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary question.
So once again, lots of words, no compassion. It's a simple yes. Other provinces are doing this. Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario. A Quebec doctor says that 90% of his adult patients have benefited from this drug. A for-profit pharmaceutical company said yes and covered this drug. This Premier and this Minister of Health haven't offered anything. Half the cost. Maybe then the pharmaceutical company can cover half. Maybe they can cover it for a few months until they get the study done. But nothing at all by this Premier. Empty words, empty promises like he has done for the last 2 years. I'll ask the Premier again, will he, with an ounce of humility and compassion in his heart, say yes to Jeremy and approve the medication so Jeremy can live a better life? Thank you.
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, you know, a situation like Jeremy's certainly pulls at the heartstrings, and that's why our team has been working with him. One of the many things that we did, including pressuring Roche to provide compassionate coverage for him these past 6 months, is that we also pushed the federal regulator for an expedited review of this medication. That review has happened. This drug is not approved for use for people in Jeremy's situation. Now, we all need to recognize that there are important safety considerations when it comes to the approval of new drugs, and we will listen to the experts. Now, when it comes to Jeremy, we're of course going to continue to work with you. We hear your message loud and clear. That's why our health minister is taking the time to continue to respond to your concerns, and also we'll meet with you. This is how we work together. This is how we collaborate. We ensure that every Manitoban in this province has the ability to access safe, approved, expert-recommended health care.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a new question.
You heard it here yourself. Even on a matter of compassion, the Premier will tell you one thing, but the reality is very different. More announcements, false numbers, false accomplishments. This Premier stands up and says, mission accomplished. We have more than enough nurses in this province, according to this Premier. Manitoba's no different, nurses no different. The Health Science Centre has been grey-listed for 2 months, meaning that the very nurses working there say it's unsafe to work there. Thompson Hospital is also looking at the same designation. The nurses union has been clear. If they have to grey list every healthcare facility in Manitoba, they will. So I will ask the Premier, how many more health facilities need to be grey listed before the Premier acknowledges that he has yet another failing minister in his cabinet?
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, you got the best health minister in the country right here. 3,500 new healthcare workers, 40 new nurses at the Health Sciences Centre just in the last 2 months. They are on a roll when it comes to fixing healthcare. But do you know who needs to be blacklisted? The member opposite.
That's right.
Cowardly display yesterday, refusing to stand for the first trans MLA in this province's history. He comes in here, he pats himself on the back, first Muslim MLA ever elected. But when it comes time to honor a different community, no, they draw the line. Why is that? Such a bizarre worldview in the PC side of things, where human rights for some, but not human rights for all. Legacy? Your legacy is one that you should be ashamed of. I direct that through you, the chair.
Yeah.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary
There
question.
you have it once again. The Premier cannot help but attack, attack, attack. His true nature, his bullying nature, his toxicity is coming through from Manitobans to see. I'm asking about safety for nurses, and he wants to attack me for being Muslim. I don't understand what the Premier has against that. This Premier says he has the best health minister. A D- is the best for this Premier. Record wait times in Manitoba. He thinks that's the best health minister. It's a shame. It's a tragedy. It's embarrassing. Manitobans deserve better. The Premier cannot help himself. He has to be on TikTok everywhere he goes. The Premier opened up a pop-up liquor mart stocked with American alcohol and then shoots a video holding a Boston beer company and Coors Light instead of something local. Will the Premier stand up and apologize to Manitobans and say he supports local businesses instead of misleading Manitobans like he's done?
Here, here.
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, I recognize that you're grading on a curve and allowing him to start a new series of questions, but I'll play ball. Because we need to put on the record the very hateful display. I'll table the photo of him not standing, not applauding for a statement about the Transgender Day of Remembrance. What do they have about trans people? In the last election, he was the poster boy for the anti-trans ads that the PCs ran. I'll table the vote in which their caucus was split on the question of whether trans people have rights. And then again yesterday on the Transgender Day of Remembrance, he refuses to stand, he refuses to clap, and of course, yes, he refuses to make eye contact because he knows that his behavior is shameful. And let me be clear, this is a pattern of behavior. It is against LGBT people, but the question that you need to consider, if you ever think about voting PCs, is are you going to be next? What do they think about Indigenous people? We saw in the last election campaign. What do they think about different denominations? It's a bizarre worldview where some Manitobans deserve rights in the PC side, but not others. On this side, it's very clear. Human rights for everybody. One Manitoba.
Time has expired. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary question.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm asking questions. Maybe the Premier can't follow the theme here. It's on misleading and false information from Manitobans. The Premier misleads Manitobans when it comes to HSC, when it comes to safety of Manitobans, when it comes to crime, when it comes to supporting local because he wants to stand up with American alcohol, and now he wants to mislead Manitobans with what's happening in this chamber. The facts are you cannot trust this Premier or any of his cabinet ministers or any of his colleagues for anything they say. 2 years in Manitoba, this province has only gotten worse under this failed Premier. The Minister of Justice now wants you to think that crime is down. Crime is up. Earlier this month, a nurse was sexually assaulted at St. Boniface Hospital. The assailant had a criminal record as long as the Premier's. This assault occurred days after he was released on other charges. Will the Premier stand up and admit he has another failed minister in his cabinet and remove the Minister of Justice from his job?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable First Minister.
The most disappointing thing about the member's hateful conduct is that he does not have the courage to stand behind his convictions.
That's right.
He purposely disrespects the transgender statement that we heard in the House here yesterday, and then he goes into the hall, oh, I didn't know. I thought it was about Section 33. You knew exactly what you were doing. Yesterday, you knew exactly what you were doing.
Order, please. Order, please. Order. I will direct the Honourable First Minister to make sure he directs his comments through the chair, not directly to the member opposite. And I will direct the Leader of the Official Opposition. I'll be the one that calls order, not him. The Honourable First Minister.
Thank you for that interjection, Honourable Speaker. I guess what I'm saying is this. We all know how this ends. On the next election night, the member opposite crying yet again, I'm a big guy. I'm a big guy, with the member for Roblin patting him on the back soon before the jagged edge of her political ambition hits him from behind. Let this remain on the record. He's not a leader, he's a bigot. Manitobans, let's work together so that every child in our province, whether they're gay or not, trans or straight, can have a bright future. Let's bring people together. Let's not divide people
Time
along
has expired. The Honourable Member for Spruce Woods. Order.
Oh, really? Come on, eh? Can't
Order. Everybody needs to come to order. I realize it's Friday. Things generally get a little rambunctious on Friday, but I cannot allow people sitting screaming across the way. The honourable member for Spruce Woods.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Jeremy Bray has 9 days of medication left before he runs out. It is clear that this one Manitoban is not a priority for the Health Minister or Minister's teams. Yesterday, after my questions in the House, Jeremy reached out to me, let me know about a conversation he had with the Minister's Chief of Staff, who said, and I quote, was unwilling to promise us a meeting with the Minister. So my question is this: can the Minister tell me why they won't meet with Jeremy?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
The member for Spruce Woods is incorrect. I've met with the Bray family, Jeremy Bray advocates, his parents, his father more specifically previously. My office spoke with him just yesterday, and I've also communicated that I will be very happy to meet with Jeremy as well. The member for Spruce Woods might know now, as she's done her research, as I requested she probably would benefit from doing yesterday, that this issue was actually brought forward years ago under the previous government, and they chose to do nothing. If they had done something back then, perhaps by now that medication would have been through clinical trials at the CDA level, and we wouldn't be having this conversation.
The honourable member for Spruce Woods on a supplementary question.
I guess the Minister is calling Jeremy a liar. Sorry.
Go on. Keep going.
I guess in the NDP caucus room, you can put a cost on the life of a Manitoban. That is shameful, and this minister should be embarrassed. This government has money and time for ministerial travel, but clearly none for Manitobans in the need of life-saving medication. The minister has the power. They have the responsibility, but do they have the moral integrity to do the right thing? Fund Jeremy's medication and ensure it's a priority.
Yep.
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, I recognize that the member opposite sits on a side of the House where personal attacks are just the way that they go. I recognize that on that side of the House, they are focused on, attacking people rather than on bringing people together or understanding the facts of a situation. I am going to continue to sit down with Jeremy Bray and his family. We're going to continue to work with not only the CDA, but with Roche to find a path forward here that supports Jeremy. We advocated very, very hard to Roche to make sure that they could provide compassionate coverage to Jeremy for 6 months. We also advocated for the CDA to do an expedited real-world review. We're hoping the CDA will look at this case and build that into their approach so that they can make a new recommendation that would benefit
Member's
Jeremy.
time has expired. The honourable member for Spruce Woods on a final supplementary question.
Thanks, Honourable Speaker. For 6 months, Jeremy Bray has had access to life-saving medication that notably improved his quality of life and stopped the progression of his disease, only because the manufacturer stepped in to give this minister 6 months to figure it out. Even for a for-profit pharmaceutical company can show a little passion. When will this minister show some compassion for Jeremy and his family?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, Jeremy Bray's situation is a tragic one, and we have only compassion for what he and his family have been going through for years. That is part of the reason why I will not allow for members opposite to treat this as some sort of a political puck. It's not. This is a real person and a real family. We are working very, very hard, as we have for months, to find a path forward here that supports Jeremy. We were able to successfully advocate for Roche to provide compassionate coverage under a program that they have that is meant to deliver this kind of service to folks when there is not the benefit of clinical trials being actioned at the CDA level in partnership with the manufacturer. We're hoping for that relationship to benefit from Jeremy's reported progress, and we're going to continue to work so that there's a path forward.
Member's time has expired. The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
This Premier gets up in this chamber and talks about the economic course in our province, all while throwing local business under the cart. It doesn't get more local than a local company growing Manitoba grain to produce a Manitoba beer. Farmery Estate Brewery operates in Agassiz. They employ many Manitobans and they support local communities. So why, when this Premier was stocking a local, new LC facility, why did he not support local Manitoba business?
The Honourable Minister of Municipal and Northern Relations.
I want to thank the member opposite for the question. It's an important question because it highlights the Manitoba industry that is growing and thriving under our government. We are really happy to provide Manitoba products to the consumer across Manitoba in our 63 plus stores, highlighting Manitoba grown and produced sections. We are continuing to work with craft producers to be able to highlight their products in a way that the previous government never did, highlighting the fact that these industries bring jobs and economic development to regions across the province. We have been there, we will continue to be there, and we'll continue to deliver for Manitobans.
Good job. The Honourable Member for Agassiz on a supplementary question.
The minister responsible could have stood up and said to this Premier, no, we have to support our own local business here. Hey, let's support Farmery Brewery in Neepawa, or how about Section 6 or Black Week Brewing in Brandon East. But no, instead, let's stand up and support Americans and get their advertising out there on their products. Why did this minister refuse to stock Manitoba product in this new storefront?
The Honourable Minister of Municipal and Northern Relations.
U.S. liquor is off the shelves in Manitoba.
Yep.
That is fact. And that is a fact that is due to our government. The U.S. industry, the health industry, thrived under that government when they were shipping away patients to Ohio, Florida, and places unknown.
That's right.
We rebuild our economy. We rebuild our capacity. And if you ask at Manitobans who they trust to deliver for them, they already answered, not them, us. And we'll continue to do it. When we go to the places like Section 6 and Black Wheat Brewing in Brandon East, we do it because we support our
time
consumers.
has expired. The Honourable Member for Agassiz on a final supplementary question.
This NDP government failed to deliver. That's what they did. They failed to deliver on an opportunity and a responsibility to support local Manitoba business. Instead, they failed Manitobans yet again. I'll give this minister one final opportunity to correct the record and stand in his place today and commit right here, right now to support Manitoba products. Does he support Manitoba businesses or his Premier?
The Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation.
Honourable Speaker, the member's opposite's record on supporting small business local is horrible. And when they completely failed when they were in government. And in opposition, they even spent time thanking Donald Trump for his tariffs instead of supporting local businesses. We not only brought in a campaign to support local, we brought in a day about supporting Manitoba businesses. We brought in a month for Small Business Month. We provide supports for local businesses. We're even taking the PST off of manufacturing equipment so more businesses can grow and thrive in Manitoba. On top of all the jobs, new jobs we've created in this province, Honourable Speaker, Manitobans should know that we support local, we support Manitoba businesses because they are the heart of thriving Manitoba economy.
The Honourable Member for Roblin.
Manitobans know that NDP math is a subject all unto itself. It's certainly not real math, and it's the only explanation for the fact that the minister went out earlier this week and claimed that they had hired 231 net new paramedics in the province of Manitoba. But they were wrong. How many paramedics did they actually hire? Take a guess. 18. Oh. But we only know that because the union called them out publicly. Thinking you've hired 13 times as many paramedics as you actually have is hardly a rounding error, and it speaks volumes about how well they understand this file. How did the NDP mess this up so badly?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, under the previous failed PC government, we had a net loss of paramedics from this province. We had a net loss of almost 100 paramedics in rural Manitoba alone. But talking about counting, since the member brings up math, when we were counting the number of folks on that side of the House who stood up to recognize trans people who have died in this province, and trans people who were in the gallery for that statement from our colleague on this side of the House yesterday, I didn't count the member for Roblin as one of them. Wasn't that long ago that the member for Roblin wore a pink shirt on Pink Shirt Day? And I called her out. I guess she's standing on the right side of the House after all, Honourable Speaker.
That's right.
The Honourable Member for Roblin on a supplementary question.
They promised 90 new paramedics in their first year of government and hired 14. They promised 200 new paramedics over the span of their mandate. 2 years in, they've hired 18. In all of 2025, according to MAHCP, Shared Health has had a net gain of 1 paramedic. Claiming to have hired 231 net new paramedics when there's actually only 18 calls into question every Health Human Resources number this minister has come in here and presented as fact. And it's also a very serious concern for frontline paramedics and for Manitobans for whom timely access to ambulance service can be a matter of life or death. Will the NDP be keeping their promise to hire 200 paramedics, yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
We're hiring net new paramedics in this province, Honourable Speaker. They fired almost 100 paramedics from rural Manitoba alone. Our training seats for paramedics are full for the first time in many years. They couldn't fill any of the seats when they were in government. But, Honourable Speaker, I think it's really important to note that the paramedic students that I met, some of those folks are part of the 2S LGBTQ+ community, and thanked our government for showing representation and strength that allowed for them to feel like they could pursue paramedicine as a career path safely. The member for Roblin is actively creating conditions in which those folks would be less safe in this province. She is part of the problem. On this side of the House, we stand for all healthcare workers, not just some, like the member for Roblin.
The Honourable Member for Roblin on a final supplementary question.
When they don't want to answer the question, they get personal. I guess that's no, they will not be hiring 200 paramedics. It's becoming clear to Manitobans that this NDP government has no idea what it's doing when it comes to Health Human Resources. We've got a premier who's out here hanging the Mission Accomplished banner saying he's hired enough nurses, despite a 30% vacancy rate in Prairie Mountain Health alone. This is a government with, quote, no credible staffing plan, according to MAHCP, claiming to hire thousands of new staff only to have frontline workers publicly asking, where are they? So who's telling the truth? Frontline workers or the NDP?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
3,500 net new healthcare workers, net new paramedics, net new nurses, net new healthcare aides, net new nurse practitioners, net new respiratory therapists, net new technologists, net new. Nothing net new about the PC's behavior in Manitoba. They are still corrupt. They are bankrupt, including morally, and that member for Roblin is part of the problem. On this side of the House, all healthcare workers of all identities are welcome in this province on the front lines. Don't worry, the member for Roblin will never have the chance to undermine your rights and your dignity in healthcare ever again.
The Honourable Member for Lac du Bonny.
Honourable Speaker, once again, the Health Minister stands here, and when backed into a corner, they get personal. Honourable Speaker, I'd like to ask the current Health Minister, whilst they are still in that position, will they share with the House their opinion on the difference between hospice and palliative care?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Hospice and palliative care services are incredibly important for Manitobans. When I first came into this role, the Canadian Cancer Society issued a daffodil report. In that report, they captured the landscape of palliative and hospice services in Manitoba. Across the country. However, Manitoba was missing from that report, and that is because the previous PC government refused to participate in it. On this side of the House, we've been meeting with folks across the sector to better understand what we need to do. There's a lot of work to do in this space, but I want to say thank you to all of those who provide hospice and palliative care services. The work you do is sacred. We appreciate it, and you're making a difference every single day.
The Honourable Member for Lac du Bonny on a supplementary question.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, there's a petition right now out there for the Interlake Eastern Regional Health Authority to provide hospice care for terminally ill people in the Interlake Eastern region. There's over 1,000 signatures. Under this health minister, Honourable Speaker, no resident from the Interlake and Eastern regions can access hospice care in the designated palliative care facilities and hospital wards in the city of Winnipeg. Rural Manitobans deserve the same quality of care or a similar designated facility for terminally ill people as those who live in Winnipeg. Honourable Speaker, have the health minister actually get to work and actually do something on behalf of all Interlake Eastern Regional Health Authority and rural
Member's time has expired. The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, this is an area of health care that is very, very important to families across this province. And having options is really key. We've been working with experts in this area to build capacity across Manitoba, recognizing that for 7.5 years, this was neglected entirely. We've been able to work with the CMO of the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority, Dr. Reimer, who has successfully recruited folks to the province to provide hospice and palliative expertise, geriatricians in this area of practice, and to make sure that in doing so, we're actually ensuring they're providing those services in rural communities. So we're building up capacity here. We recognize there's much, much more to do, but we're working with experts.
First time has expired. The Honourable Member for Lac du Bonny on a final supplementary question.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, just recently a dentist said, and I quote, "Lying through your teeth is not a replacement for flossing." End quote. It's obvious, Honourable Speaker, that this health minister has over 780 days of plaque buildup, Honourable Speaker. It's embarrassing. So I stand today on behalf of all rural Manitobans. All rural Manitobans, Honourable Speaker, will the Premier today stand up in his spot and do a cabinet shuffle of this embarrassing health minister, because the health care in this province is only getting worse, Honourable Speaker.
Order. Order, everyone. Particularly the NDP bench needs to calm down. The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, I'm not sure why the member for Lac du Bonny is recounting his dental appointments on the floor of the House, but what I can tell you is that our government is investing more money in hospice and palliative care services year over year. We recognize that there's more work to do here. We're building capacity, and we want folks, no matter where you live in this province, to be able to access hospice and palliative care services. Now, I know the member for Lac du Bonny will continue to make personal attacks, but my focus is on Manitobans. My focus is on you, making sure that you have improved health care. You didn't have a government that was focused on you for 7.5 years. You have one now. We're going to keep working for you, no matter where you live in this province, to have the care that you count on and you deserve from the beginning to the end of life.
Time has expired. The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park.
Honourable Speaker, correctional facilities across Manitoba are all over capacity by hundreds of inmates. A big part of this problem is due to the number of people being held at the Remand Centre. On September 28th, less than 2 months ago, Kyle Ross, the president of the Manitoba Government and General Employees Union, said, "We really need a plan from this government moving forward, because once bail reform comes, we're going to be in a tight position in this province." I tabled this article. There was no mention of a plan moving forward in the throne speech, and while the building of a Dauphin prison is fine and hopefully it will help alleviate some of the overcrowding, what are the overrun correctional facilities to do in the meantime?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
I thank the member opposite for the question. I think it's an important one, and I appreciate her recognition of the important work that we're doing on bail and on getting tough on crime, ensuring that our communities are safe. Our public safety is a #1 priority of our government. Included in that, of course, is the safety of our staff and the inmates in our corrections facility. We've been working very closely with the MGU and with our corrections staff to ensure that that safety is paramount, and that we're ensuring that as we manage the load within the system, that we're ensuring that the safety is a priority. I welcome the line of questioning. I think it's an important one. It's one that speaks to the values of our government, that is, again, safety for all Manitobans and justice.
Time expired. The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, correctional and emergency service workers are currently experiencing burnout, which is leading to high vacancies. This is due to factors like chronic understaffing, excessive overtime, workplace violence, and repeated exposure to traumatic events. Back in May, CBC News reached out to the province, inquiring about how an internal review had been launched at the Brandon Correctional Centre to examine the circumstances and reinforce safety measures for both staff and inmates. When asked, the province said there is no timeline for this review. Those working in public safety are at a breaking point. Can the government share with us today an update on the review, and will the results be made public?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Again, a good question, and as I mentioned, we're working very closely with staff and with the union representing workers to ensure that our policies are strong and that safety is a #1 priority. The review that we're doing is an important one, and it will inform how we keep people safe in our institutions, so it's an important one to get right. We are building capacity in the system overall. Member opposite noted that we have committed to moving forward on the Dauphin Centre for Justice, an important component of providing corrections capacity as well as justice for people in the parkland throughout the province. I again welcome the line of questioning. I'll happy to answer more questions in the third answer. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, correctional facilities here in Manitoba are all over capacity. In the throne speech, the government shared that they will break ground on a correctional facility in Dauphin next fall, and further commented that it will make our province safer by helping people who are ready to turn their lives around. The language of this commitment has been brought to my attention, and I'm hoping the Justice Minister can clarify for the House if this new facility in Dauphin will be similar to the facilities in Headingley, Milner Ridge, and the Pas, or will it be more along the lines of a holding ground or a place for restorative justice and mediation to take place?
Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, again, I appreciate the question, and it does allow us to highlight some of the innovative work that we're doing in the design of the Dauphin facility. We've been undertaking consultations with the City of Dauphin, with the surrounding parkland region, First Nations, and ensuring that we have true input and true collaboration. This is important work because under the previous government, there were 2 jails closed in this province, including in the City of Dauphin. And it's unbelievable to me that they would close jails at a time where public safety is a #1 concern of people across this province. We're taking a different path. We're rebuilding that capacity. We're paying our corrections workers properly.
Time has expired. The Honourable Member for Kirkfield Park.
I am so proud to work with a leader, a great premier who values the lives of trans kids and understands the truth that trans kids exist and will always exist. Yesterday, Manitobans once again saw the cowardly transphobic leader of the PCs doubling down on his hate for the 2S LGBTQ community and on his efforts to divide Manitobans. Can the Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care please tell the House how the PCs continue to divide Manitobans and about our government's message of hope to every kid in our great province?
Well done.
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Yesterday, the PC leader refused to stand to honor members of the trans community who have died and those in this very chamber. Before the last election, during the last election, and since the last election, the PC leader has attacked trans people and particularly trans kids across Manitoba. Yesterday was Trans Day of Remembrance, a day when Manitobans honor and remember trans and gender diverse people who have died due to transphobic violence. And so, while the PCs continue to try and divide Manitobans, our government has one simple message for every trans kid in this province. Your government has your back. We will fight for you. You absolutely belong.
The Honourable Member for La-Vérendrye.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Premiers Moe, Smith and Ford are all out there representing their economy and getting results. Here in Manitoba, investment is down. Businesses are leaving, and our agriculture sector, one of the largest economic engines, is being ignored by this Premier and his failed Agriculture Minister. Instead of supporting Manitoba canola, Manitoba breweries, Manitoba distillers, and Manitoba's agribusiness, this government is busy promoting American-made liquor in publicly funded stores. How can the Premier claim to support Manitoba's economy when his own actions, time and time again, actively undermine Manitoba producers?
Time has expired. The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker, and I'd like to thank the member opposite for asking finally an agriculture question. What we've witnessed in the last 7.5 or the previous 7.5 years when they were under government, Honourable Speaker, what did they actually do? And let me give you a little bit of refresher of what that government did about representing the rural economy in the province of Manitoba and agriculture. They closed 20-some offices in the agriculture industry. They closed the Dauphin jail. In fact, the Justice Minister came into town, couldn't get out of Dauphin fast enough after he told City Council, actually maybe he had a silica sand meeting somewhere that he had to go to.
Members, time has expired. Order, please. I will allow one more question from the opposition to compensate for several bouts of excessive clapping. The Honourable Member for La-Vérendrye.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity. Honourable Speaker, while Manitoba breweries, distilleries, and private liquor retailers invest their own dollars to support our economy, the Premier was out at a Costco parking lot promoting American liquor companies. Not a single Manitoba-made product in sight. Even Farmery Brewery called him out by undermining local producers. Other premiers stand up for their industries. Doug Ford for the auto, Scott Moe for canola, Danielle Smith for energy. Why is our Premier using taxpayer-funded pop-ups to boost American companies instead of supporting Manitoba businesses?
Time has expired. The Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation.
First of all, Honourable Speaker, Manitobans should know that instead of thanking Donald Trump for his tariffs that he imposed on the Canadian economy, we actually pulled the U.S. booze off the shelves and supported our local economy and local brewery and businesses right here in Manitoba. That's how we grow an economy that works for everyone. Instead of putting one Manitoban against the other, instead of supporting some businesses and not others, we build an economy that works for everyone, for businesses, for business leaders, and for workers in Manitoba. So make sure workers stay safe with a strong economy, but creating more jobs and more opportunities for businesses to invest right here at home. That's how we grow a strong economy that works for everyone.
Order, please. Order, please. Order. There are some guests in the gallery that I would like to introduce. Time for oral questions has expired. First, we have seated in the public gallery from Equal Charleswood, 22 grade 6 students under the direction of Kim Blue, and this group is located in the constituency of the Honourable Member for Roblin. We welcome you here today. Petitions. The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, children with disabilities often require childcare beyond the age of 12. Children with disabilities aged 12 to 17 face a gap in publicly available care programs. Number 2, the current adolescent care service model creates an undue hardship on caregivers. Number 3, while developing children may be entering into extracurricular activities, school clubs, or spending time with friends independently, children with disabilities have reduced opportunities for such social and recreational opportunities due to the lack of spaces. Number 4, the current self-managed adolescent care models place additional workloads onto already stressed families, requiring parents to seek all alternative options and prove their need for care. Number 5, the current adolescent care system, as part of overall respite and support available to families, is failing families of children with disabilities, as identified in the Manitoba Advocate for Children and Youth's Bridging the Gaps report. Number 6, to date, none of the 9 recommendations it contains have been completed beyond 50%. Number 7, the recommendations in this report touch on many of the issues facing families, with adolescent care being a small component of their overall needs. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to fully implement recommendations in the Bridging Gaps report. Number 2, to urge the provincial government to immediately implement official policies and procedures that are more respectful and collaborative, which also minimize harm faced by families seeking help from Children's Disability Services. Number 3, to urge the Minister of Families to arrange for a full review of employment supports provided by Children's Disability Services for children with disabilities aged 12 to 17, including direct consultation with impacted families, and to explore a full spectrum of options to support families empowering them to choose solutions that best fit their needs. This petition is signed by Daryl Mandrick, Natakia Ramanchin, and Vanessa Vandervoort, and many, many more Manitobans. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Further petitions, orders of the day, government business. We will now resume debate on the address and reply to the speech from the throne, standing in the name of the Honourable Member for Kirkfield Park, who has 10 minutes remaining. The Honourable Member for Kirkfield Park.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker, again for providing me an opportunity to stand up with my response to the speech from the throne. And again, I would just like to, thank the folks, the good folks in Kirkfield Park, who work hard every day. Many of them work at the Grace Hospital and the clinics around the community. Your hard work, your dedication, your sacrifices that you make every day don't go unnoticed. We see you and thank you for that work. I also just want to talk again about what I learned from the throne speech. I learned a lot about freedom and what that means, and how our government is really supporting people to express themselves and to be who they are and to be free, Honourable Speaker. Children being free to pursue who they are, and I'm so proud to be part of a team that recognizes that that's important, and a team that also recognizes just how harmful it can be to be against those freedoms, the freedoms to choose, the freedom of choice. Something our government stands very solidly behind, those freedoms. And families really don't want politicians in the room with them when they're seeing the doctor. So why don't we let the physicians and the experts and the scientists do their work, providing us information, and we'll continue to trust the science, trust the physicians, and most of all, trust the children who, expect us to believe them when they tell us something. Thank you. On the public safety front of the throne speech, our justice system, we're really focused on being rooted in prevention and not punishment. When I worked at the Manitoba Youth Center, I saw the consequences of the inaction of the previous government. I saw what happens when we wait too long to help. And as a helper, I feel like I'm someone who's been born to help people, and it's really heart-wrenching when you don't have any tools on your tool belt to help the people that need help. So this throne speech, Honourable Speaker, really makes it clear to me, and I believe to the rest of Manitoba, that safety starts with prevention support and intervention, not just punishment. We're also strengthening supports for youth in CFS care. We're giving them more stability, more protection, a real chance at success instead of a pipeline to crisis. And Honourable Speaker, I've been a part of the youth justice system. I've seen that pipeline. It's very distressing to witness, and it's really hard on the kids. We expect a lot out of them. And I know a lot of those kids, never really had a choice about where they were coming from. But we need to provide them with options. We need to provide them with hope and a direction on where to go. I worked with a lot of these kids. They're very smart. They're very busy with their hands. They like to work on stuff. They're very, very creative. And so I think, our government's on the right track by, keeping these kids busy in a good way, keeping them educated, giving them opportunities to be involved in cultural activities, and really getting the kids to take ownership of their lives, to help them get on a better path and to live life in a good way. So, Honourable Speaker, I believe we are taking a health-based approach to addictions. We're expanding detox beds, something that's desperately needed here in Manitoba, and we're adding supports after sobering. So it's really important. I've seen it. I've been a part of releasing people from jail, and they have all their personal belongings on them, and they don't have anything that they can go to immediately after they're released, to offer further supports. Those things were cut by the previous government, Honourable Speaker, and so we're just setting them up for failure. So I'm really proud that our government recognizes those things, and we're working towards, bringing forward, creative solutions for folks. Addiction is a health issue. It's not a crime. And we're giving police the tools that they need to seize illegal weapons and prevent violence before it starts. We're fighting the meth crisis. We're stopping drugs from flowing into northern communities, Honourable Speaker. The amount of folks that I worked with who came down from the north was really heartbreaking again. So once again, I believe our government, we've seen what hasn't been working, the years of cuts, devastation, ignoring the calls, pleas for help by correctional officers themselves, striking correctional officers, saying, why in God's name would you close a jail at a time where, we're double, sometimes triple bunking people together, which is not safe whatsoever. So I'm really proud again, Honourable Speaker, that we have a Justice Minister who recognizes these things, and that relies on the experts, listens to the people working on the front line, and comes up with solutions to these issues. And for the first time in decades, we're building a new correctional and healing facility in Dauphin, one focused on rehabilitation, not just incarceration. Something that is desperately needed again here in Manitoba. Families in Kirkfield Park deserve to feel safe on their streets and in their homes and in their daily lives. And I really believe this government is acting not with slogans, Honourable Speaker, but with actual tangible solutions. So as I wrap up my remarks, what this throne speech really shows more than anything is that Manitoba is moving forward with purpose. We're rebuilding what was broken, strengthening what was neglected, and we're restoring what families in every corner of this province have been asking for: dignity, stability, and real hope. But none of this work happens from inside this building alone, Honourable Speaker. It happens in the hospitals, it happens in our schools, in the correctional facilities, in community centers, in living rooms, around the kitchen table. It's led by people who call this province home, Honourable Speaker. And I carry the voices for folks in Kirkfield Park with me every day. The parents who want a better future for their kids. The seniors who simply want to age in comfort and security. The workers who want fairness and opportunity. I hear from those folks all the time. And I want them to know this, I want you to know this, that we hear you, we do see you, and we are acting for you. Just over 2 years ago, Manitobans elected a government that would show up, not just for easy moments, but for the hard ones. Not with excuses, but with solutions. And we're just getting started, Honourable Speaker. Together, we are building safer communities, healthier families, stronger schools, and a more affordable life. Not for some, but for everyone. This is the work of One Manitoba, Honourable Speaker, and I'm so honored. Every single day, I help to carry that work forward on behalf of the good people of Kirkfield Park. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It's an honour to rise in this chamber and respond to the government's throne speech on behalf of Manitobans, on behalf of members in this House. We all heard the throne speech, we've all read it, and we are all amazed by how terrible it was. How it didn't reflect any of the needs, desires, wishes, wants of this province. It was re-announcements, it was the Premier and his NDP government taking credit for stuff that was done previously that they had nothing to do with. It was a real travesty in this province. The throne speech is supposed to signal to the province and the nation where we're going. The things that we have looked forward to, the investments that the government is making, the investments that are going to make this an amazing province to live in, the investments that are going to keep families here, bring children back to this province, that are going to grow this economy out of dead last under this NDP government, investments that are going to address the concerns of Manitobans when it comes to crime, when it comes to our health care, when it comes to our economy, families, homelessness, mental health crisis, when it comes to community centers and municipalities, when it comes to infrastructures and safety. None of that was addressed by this NDP government. The throne speech was a disgrace to what happens in this chamber. My job as the Leader of the Opposition is to ask tough questions, to hold this failing NDP government to account, to get them to answer questions for once to Manitobans on what's really happening. And you can see by the conduct in this chamber, by this government, they don't care about that. They're not interested in answering any questions. They're not interested in listening to what you have to say, what your concerns are. They simply don't care. Their arrogance is so great, and the Premier says it himself, and I quote, Premier thinks his arrogance is his virtue, end quote. That speaks volumes to this government, to this toxic leader, and that has now flowed into the throne speech. It is our job to speak up when the government tries to do things without giving Manitobans the whole story. And when we don't feel like a plan is right for Manitobans, it is our job to speak up. It is our job to bring those concerns forward. If the plan isn't clearly articulated to Manitobans, it is our constitutional duty to oppose it and vote against it. For some reason, when we do that, the NDP thinks it's a joke. You know what's a joke, Honourable Speaker? This NDP government, this failing Premier, all of his front bench and second bench, failed Minister of Family, of Education, of Justice, of Finance, of Health, have all received a D- or lower. You don't get much lower than a D-. They reserved that spot, F, for this Premier. A failure is what his legacy will be. Everything in this province is worse under this NDP government, and that is highlighted in the throne speech. In a democracy, the government belongs to the people. Maybe they should listen to that. To the people. A government needs to be accountable to the people. Don't take my word for it. Take C.D. Howe. They gave this finance minister a report of D- when it comes to accountability and transparency. A democracy, the government belongs to the people, and the government needs to be accountable to the people. D-. That's what their record has to say. In a democracy, we should never be afraid to ask honest and tough questions. And yet, when we do, on that side of the house, they simply attack. They make it personal. The Premier said, when they go low, we'll go high. It's the exact opposite of what they're doing. If we ask questions on healthcare, they attack. We ask questions about life-saving medication, and this Premier attacks. He has the power to do it, a power to approve medication that will save lives in Manitoba, and he won't answer. We ask about paramedics, crime, repeat violent offenders, grocery prices that are at all-time highs under this NDP government, and they won't answer. This Premier, let's not forget, Manitoba, threatened local grocery companies that if they don't lower the price of groceries, he will come for them. Grocery prices at an all-time high. No one can deny those facts on that side of the House. They're nodding their heads, and yet they won't do anything to address it. Why? Because they're scared of their Premier. The throne speech does not address any of those concerns that Manitobans are asking for. That's what a throne speech is supposed to be. Nothing was addressed in that. If the government has a good idea, something that will benefit Manitobans, benefit your family, we will support it. We have done that on this side of the House. With numerous bills we have supported, saying this is good for Manitoba. We've also brought forward recommendations to change bills. And when the government shockingly listens, they take those amendments and the bill gets better. It's not perfect. We're in opposition. We can offer our suggestions and we hope that they listen. From the very rare time to time, actually maybe only once. And that was because the Minister of Finance didn't know what dyed fuel was when he introduced his gas tax stunt. He didn't know. This is the quality of ministers we have over the way, that they don't even know the difference in types of fuel in Manitoba. The difference that agriculture needs producers versus Winnipeg. It's shocking, it's appalling, and that is reflected once again in this throne speech. If you have a bad idea, we're going to speak out against it. That is our job in opposition. In a democracy in Manitoba, the power is with the people. Your votes, citizens, you are the power in this province, not this Premier, no matter how much he wants to stand up and smile and bash his fist against his chest and insult and bully and intimidate not only myself, but all members on this side of the House. It is you that has the power. It is you that can look at this throne speech and say, there's actually nothing really in here. A few flashy announcements, and that's all. It is up to you. And as I go through the next hour, you will see that this failing NDP government has done nothing to address the needs. Now, in this province, you have to look, we have two parties. That's the reality of what it is. You have the NDP and you have the Progressive Conservatives on this side. As the new PC leader, I have committed to work for you, to listen to you, to bring the best policies forward in a throne speech that reflects the needs and desires of Manitoba and where we're going to go. Get the right answers from Manitobans. Listen, but then institute those changes. Get them done. 2 years this government has said they're listening and nothing has gotten better. And again, it's reflected in the throne speech where there are no real concrete, tangible changes or vision for the future. Our economy is dead last in Canada. And there is nothing in this throne speech that addresses the immediate needs of Manitoba to get out of the gutter under this NDP. There's talk of Port of Churchill, minimum. Prime Minister says it himself, quote, there is a lot of work to do, end quote, from the Prime Minister. Minimum 10 years before it even gets going to be a viable economic driver for this province. And this government has no other plan in their throne speech. The difference between this NDP government, well, there's lots of differences. One is we don't live in La La Land. We live in reality, based in facts and needs of what Manitobans want. We also live in the reality that Manitobans are hurting. That whether you are a single parent, a student, a family of 5, a senior, a newcomer to Canada, whether you have a stable job and a career, you are still hurting under this NDP government. This NDP government has made life worse for Manitobans. And the absolute worst part about that is this premier will do it with a smile on his face. That is the worst kind of hypocrisy and leadership you can have in a government. We have to change that. You have to look at this throne speech and what's happening in the province of Manitoba and say, this is not enough. The promises that are made by the NDP have not been kept. The promises of fixing healthcare, it's worse. The promises of bail reform never happened. The promises of getting all homeless people housed has not happened. Less than 100. The promise of hiring 200 paramedics is nowhere near where it is. I think 18 was the last number. Promise after promise after promise with 0 results. And on top of that, they have removed Manitobans' democratic right to come and speak. Time and time again, we've seen it in bills in this chamber where they have completely removed your right to come speak. Whether it's a finance bill that this failing finance minister, a D- rated finance minister brings forward, they block you from speaking. BITSA, budget implementation bill that they have to bring forward. And it talks about what they're going to do with their money, how they're going to spend the money. Didn't bring it forward. No debate on that. No conversation on that. Hundreds of millions, billions of dollars into this province, and they delayed it to the very last day, and then they passed it without any conversation. That's not right. That's not democracy. That's dictatorship. That's an authoritarian premier on that side. That is someone who thinks he has all the answers and doesn't need anyone's input. When it comes to homelessness and drug consumption sites, it is a drug consumption site. They can say what they want. It's a safe consumption site where drugs are being done. You've created a site for drugs to be consumed. Is that not what it is? Are people just going there to the site and playing volleyball or handball or playing cards? Having a coffee and a tea? No, they're doing drugs. It is a drug consumption site. On that side of the house, they believe it's the right thing to give Manitobans drugs. On our side of the house, we believe it's the right thing to help Manitobans get off drugs. The choice is yours. It's simple. It's that transparent. It's that much accountability we demand on this side of the house. He won't even tell you, the premier, the NDP government, the failed minister of addictions won't even tell you where it's going. They won't tell you that it's going in your backyard, across the street from your child's school. Every member on that side of the house, every single NDP member votes in favor of having a drug consumption site in their riding. Every single riding in the city, except for Fort White and Roblin, under this NDP government, believe it's right to have a drug consumption site in their backyard. Member from Waverley thinks it's okay to have a drug consumption site in your backyard. Member from Transcona, member from Radisson, St. John's, St. Vital, Kildonan, River East,
River Heights,
Kirkfield, River Heights, Assiniboia, Lajimodier, Brandon East. Every single member on that side of the house thinks it's okay to have a drug consumption site in your neighborhood. On this side of the house, we don't. On this side of the house, we want to help people. We want to provide wraparound supports. We want to get you off of drugs. This throne speech, what does it say? They're going to open up a drug consumption site in January downtown, won't tell you where, won't let you have come have a say, won't commit to open reporting or transparency and accountability, won't tell you how much it costs or who's going to staff it. They simply say it's going downtown. What's happening to our downtown core right now? Businesses are closing at an exponential rate under this NDP government. Violence and crime is happening at an exponential rate under this NDP government. And what do they want to do? Open up a drug consumption site downtown with zero consultation. Have they addressed any of the businesses there? No. Have they addressed any of the families there? No. And when families came out in Point Douglas to talk about this, they came out in numbers upon numbers and said, we do not want this in our backyard. Well, will the member from Tuxedo commit today to opening up a drug consumption site in their backyard? That's what they're advocating for. Tuxedo residents, be known that the member from Tuxedo thinks it's okay to open up a drug consumption site in your backyard with zero input from you. Same with the member from Waverley, Lagimodiere, Transcona, Radisson, McPhillips, Burroughs, Maples. They all think it's okay to do that. On this side of the House, we do not, and we will not do that. Every day in this chamber, government ministers hurl abuse, threats, insults at this side of the chamber. You can go back and look at the public record. We ask questions, they launch assaults, attacks. Why? Because they're afraid that what they're doing is actually being exposed for what it is. And it is nothing other than smoke and mirrors, hypocrisy, misleading Manitobans, and destroying the province that we all love. Two years into the job under this NDP government. And what do? Their number one answer is blame, blame, blame. It's time they look in the mirror. 2 years have gone by under this administration, and everything is worse in this province. Then they go back, 7 years of the previous government. They did this. Well, 17 years before that, it was them. And 10 years before that, it was someone else. And 15 years before that, it was someone else. The reality is, in the present, it's 2 years under this failing NDP government, and they've done nothing to make this province better. That is not leadership, it's cowardice. It is cowardice by this entire NDP government. Instead of the simplest questions on your behalf that we are asking in this chamber, they meet it with such visceral disdain. They meet it with such anger, such hypocrisy, that it seeps through to every one of their members and is now reflected in the throne speech. Because the throne speech does not address any of the concerns that Manitobans are talking about. The Premier can only deflect for so long before the truth comes out. The Premier is running out of time, and he knows that. He knows that after 2 years, he has failed on every deliverable promise he made. So once again, he uses democracy as a tool to control, as a tool to scare you into thinking that there's an election coming up. And there might be, because people are seeing how terrible they are. People are seeing that life is getting worse. They're seeing a new energy, a new vision, a new passion on this side of the House.
That's right.
And to see the Premier for who he is. He doesn't like criticism. He doesn't like to be asked tough questions. Not only from me, but from media. From anybody, Manitoban, asking him a question, he will attack, he will insult, he will humiliate, and he will belittle you. He does it every day in the chamber. He does it to the member from Fort Garry time and time again, who was a colleague of his. Why? Because the member of Fort Garry wouldn't put up to his toxicity. The rest of the lamb on that side will follow. The member from Waverley is the prime candidate for that. Whatever you say, boss, I will do. I will not use logic. I will not think about what's happening. I will do whatever I'm told because I have no backbone to stand up. And he's going to clip that on social media, and I hope he does. Because the people living in Waverley know that he is a coward. They know he won't stand up and do what's best for their constituency. Neither will the member from Transcona or Radisson or McPhillips or Tuxedo or Concordia. And we'll get to the failed Minister of Justice from Concordia in a little bit here. Again, it's not just me. It's not just the member from Fort Garry. Take a look at one of his own candidates, Chris Wiebe, Vice President, resigned from being Vice President of the party because he felt like the values of the NDP were not reflected in where the Premier was going, and they're not reflected in this throne speech. That's what we have to get back to, is that none of the promises that they committed to are reflected or in a real, tangible way to deliver for Manitobans in this throne speech. That is why their Vice President resigned. The member from Fort Garry, members on that side of the House barely even clap for the Premier when he stands, because they know what he stands for is a toxic leadership. Manitobans are finally starting to see that. If you disagree with the Premier, he will make you pay. On this side of the House, we're not afraid of him. Manitobans aren't afraid of him. The truth about this government and the failures are reflected in this throne speech. Whether it be the Minister of Families, blocking foster parents, insulting an ASL interpreter, making fun of a father being murdered in front of his children, and political violence. Whether it's Minister of Finance for D-, and the debt is not even reflected in this throne speech, how they're going to get out of $4 billion in debt. Whether it's the Minister of Addictions and Homelessness, whether it is the Minister of Justice for the endless crime. It is tragic what's happening in this province and what's reflected in this throne speech. And every one of the members on that side of the House knows that. They know that's not why they ran. They know what's reflected in this throne speech doesn't actually reflect what they believe. Hard work, accountability, not giving people drugs when they see it themselves firsthand. That the best thing to offer those people is hope, a chance of survival, of getting off of drugs. When their own colleagues work in the field and they see this on a day-to-day basis, and all they want to do is get them treatment, they continue to push drugs on Manitobans. Healthcare in this province was a footnote in this throne speech. Surgical and diagnostic wait times are longer than they've ever been. Nurses are leaving the profession faster than ever. More Manitobans are leaving this province. Youth unemployment is at an all-time high. Our GDP is worst in the entire country. There are no jobs, there are no opportunities in this province. Manitobans are feeling the pinch. Manitobans are with 50% of Manitobans are within bankruptcy, $200 away from bankruptcy. The NDP, the supposed party that reflects the needs and desires and wants of Manitobans, over 50% are $200 away from bankruptcy in this province. Borrowing is up for families. Spending is up for families. Debt is up for families. And this NDP government have provided you no solutions, nothing at all. What they did supposedly do was a gas tax. Well, let's look at that gas tax. That gas tax took $300 million, $350 million, I believe is the number, out of provincial coffers to help Manitobans. Then what they did was they reintroduced the gas tax to Manitobans, costing Manitobans $550 more in provincial gas taxes this year. $550. This year increase you felt at the pump. Don't believe me? Take a look at the Taxpayer Federation reports. August 21st, drivers in Manitoba are paying 29 cents per liter when they fill up. More, according to a study. This year's Manitoba's provincial gas tax is costing drivers up to $12 per fill-up. A two-car family in Manitoba filling up once every 2 weeks is paying $550 more provincial gas tax this year. That's under your NDP government. And they've offered nothing to help you. When you look at the reality of what is presented in this throne speech, Honorable Speaker, you will see that there is a way to do things better. You will see that the sheer neglect for the common needs of Manitobans, of businesses, of healthcare workers, of educators, of families is left off. When I became the leader of the opposition, I said we're going to do things better. And we are. And we have. You can see it every day in the chamber here. You can see it in how we carry ourselves and how we reflect and how we bring forward the needs of Manitobans. Where we talk about grocery prices being at all-time highs. Where we offer real solutions. Member from Midland on this side of the House, the finance critic, brought forward real, tangible ways to get grocery prices down. And they voted against it. But what did they do? These are real, proven methods the member offered. By removing the industrial carbon tax, by removing PST. Talked about rebates for families that are in need of it. And they voted it down. But what they did do in the throne speech is they committed to a survey or a study. A study. What's there to study? Prices are exponentially higher now than they were. Milk has gone up in the last 2 years. Bread has gone up. Eggs have gone up. Meat's gone up. Cheese has gone up. Chips have gone up. Everything has gone up under this NDP. There's your study. It's done. Take it. Don't pay $1 million or $20 million for another layer of bureaucracy under this NDP government, because that's all they want to do. Create more jobs. Make the impression you're creating more jobs. When in reality, you're just creating bureaucracy and you're delaying the process. For the love of God, why do you need another study to tell you grocery prices are higher now? They are higher. Ask any family. On this side of the House, we proposed solutions for that. They refuse to listen. But what they don't refuse to do is create more bureaucracy. Because under the NDP, nothing's going to get done. Let's move a piece of paper from here to there to there. The throne speech reflects that. The throne speech loud and clear reflects that. And again, don't take my words for it. Let's look at Taxpayer Federation again. And I quote, "Taxpayers can't afford to keep bankrolling this ballooning NDP government wage bill. The province of Manitoba 2024 list shows over 30,000 government employees being paid more than $100,000 annually. The government spent $1.8 billion more paying government employees in 2024 compared to 2020 when we were in government. $1.8 billion. And on top of all that spending, productivity has gone down in this province. Any business owner, any rational human watching this, looking at home says, if I'm going to hire 30,000 employees, my productivity better go up in this industry. Only under NDP can you hire 30,000 employees and productivity can go down. Only under them can you spend $1.8 billion more. And where's all that money coming from, Honorable Speaker? The government is increasing the provincial debt to $37.4 billion. Debt interest payments are costing taxpayers $2.3 billion this year. That is every single Manitoban is going to be taxed $1,550 to cover that. Another $1,500 out of your back pocket. But I guess when this NDP government has now taken $400 million in an education property tax out of your back pocket, what's another $1,500 for this NDP? $400 million they've increased your education property taxes. All under the smoke and mirrors and auspice of you're getting a rebate. Well, a small percentage of Manitobans are getting a rebate. The majority of Manitobans are now paying $400 million in taxes, which is larger than what this Premier and NDP government now and colleagues across the way supported in the previous NDP leader, Greg Selinger's PST increase. That was $275 million tax increase under Selinger. This Premier is worse, $400 million tax increase, just under a different name. When you look at what the throne speech says when it comes to the Premier thought, vision of Manitoba, I'm going to go right to the end here, and it's really telling of what this Premier thinks. And I quote, "Little old Manitoba." That's what he thinks of your province. Little old Manitoba. The title in this throne speech is should be From Promise to Failure, because that's what it is. A lot of promises with nothing actually being delivered by this NDP government. Those are the facts of this NDP government. When it comes to healthcare, the median wait time for ERs is over 11 hours. 11 hours at the Grace Hospital. Then they talk about opening other hospitals that aren't staffed, so they close them. It's smoke and mirrors. It's misleading. It's not the reality of what's happening. And when they say something different, all you have to do, Manitoba, is look at your own situation. Look at your own bank account. Look at the own health crises of your family. Look at the educational needs of your children. And you'll see that what they're telling you is not reality. And I'll tell you, on this side of the house, we will deliver on our promises. We will make life better for you in Manitoba, unlike them. Unlike them who has no plan to actually get it done. And when a plan is offered, they don't want to take it because their Premier is too arrogant. The Premier believes arrogance is his virtue. He has said it himself time and time again. You know what's a virtue? Is humility, compassion, empathy, meeting people where they're at, helping them, not forcing legislation down their throat without them listening. This is the problem of what we have in this province under this NDP government. We, on this side of the house, offer solutions. We offer a way to grow our economy, not in 10 years like this Premier talks about Port of Churchill, but immediately by signing on to the MOU, the contract agreement with Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Ontario.
Here, 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 here.
That's how we grow our economy. That's how we create jobs. Why won't the Premier do that? Every other province has signed on to an energy corridor, transmission of pipeline, and this Premier won't do it. With one way he says he will, and then the other day he says he won't. They said they weren't going to increase the gas tax, and we presented $550 more Manitobans are paying. This throne speech reflects a $400 million education and property tax hike. They've increased hydro rates when this Minister of Finance for years across the way said he would never circumvent the public utility boards. He did that exact thing by circumventing the Public Utilities Board and jacking up hydro rates. It's a shame that this NDP government has gotten away from this. I don't even know what to say. There's corruption. There's half-truths, smoke and mirrors, flashy announcements. The throne speech was nothing but a flashy announcement. They talk about a digital health card that it is going to save lives when you're waiting over 11 hours in the waiting room. The Minister of Health has such little respect for their own job in the department that instead of helping Jeremy Bay, Manitoba, who could have life-saving medical treatment, they go around with a paper health card on them, acting like that's funny. The Premier stands up with American alcohol at a pop-up store instead of supporting local breweries and distilleries. And he says that's a good thing. He stood up today. Members across the way stood up today and defended that. There's no defending that, just like there's no defending this failed throne speech. The Premier said in 100 days he'd fix bail. Over 700 days later, nothing. Violent crime is only getting worse. And I don't need to tell you that. You see it in the streets. You see it in our province, whether it's Winnipeg or Brandon or Winkler, Morden, or the Paw, Swan River to Turtle Mountain, Lakeside to Steinbach. You will see crime is up everywhere. What does this throne speech do to address that? Nothing. There's actually no announcement in the throne speech on how to do that. We've heard over and over again, more RCMP officers, is there more funding to the municipalities? CSO officer, private. Nothing. Government doesn't offer anything. Let's go fix it yourself. The Premier hasn't lived up to his promise. He talks tough talk, like he thinks it's jail justice, street justice he wants, but he won't actually do the work. You need more than talk when it comes to getting things done. You actually need tangible plans. You need to keep repeat violent offenders in jail. Period. Full stop. If you are a repeat violent offender, you will stay in jail under our government, period. We will make Manitoba safer. We brought forward common sense legislation that's not reflected in the throne speech. I'll ask you, Manitobans, if someone breaks into your house and threatens you and your family, do you believe you have a right to defend yourself? Yes, we do. We brought forward legislation, passed a law, and they voted it down. We brought forward legislation that says if someone breaks into your property and hurts themselves, you are not liable for that. Makes sense. They voted against it. This is the insanity of what we're dealing with this NDP government. They need to understand that none of the needs and desires of Manitobans are reflected in the throne speech. Honorable Speaker, we need to protect our children. On this side of the House, we believe we have to do everything to protect our children. As a father who I've talked about over and over again, I love my son more than anything. You love your children more than anything. You want to do everything to protect them for whatever is out there. In any situation, we stand for that. On that side of the House, they want to remove that from you. They don't want you to have a say in that. You can decide which party, which opposition or NDP government best reflects your needs your desires, your beliefs. The Premier tabled Bill 50, which wasn't mentioned in the throne speech, but talks about it, how it's going to somehow, I actually don't know, because the Premier can't make up his mind. He says one day he supports using the notwithstanding clause, the next day he doesn't support it. Then he supports it again, then he won't support it. He has said this time and time again, that he won't use the notwithstanding clause to protect youth in this province, but then when there's a federal ruling that says sexual predators have no longer a 1-year minimum sentence, he says they should be buried under the jail, but he won't say the federal government should use the notwithstanding clause. He's a wordsmith. Says one thing, means one thing else. If he stands for holding on this side of the house like we do, if you are a sexual predator, if you are abusing children, if you are exploiting them, you will be in jail for much longer than 1 year. And if we have to use the notwithstanding clause and we have to call on the federal government to use it, we will do that.
Hear, hear.
Why won't he do it? That is a desire of Manitobans that's not reflected in this throne speech. The Premier, though, will ask on the federal government to do everything for them. He will say, help us, Mark Carney, help us with our canola. We have no plan to grow our economy or help our industries, but help us. Premier Moe, Premier Smith, Premier Ford, all conservative leaders have done the work. Premier Moe brought in billions of dollars in trade deals with canola during this tariff period.
Indonesia.
Daniel Smith has grown the energy sector to billions of dollars during these tariffs. Alberta signed a contract with Mexico to export their beef. What has this Premier done? Nothing. But he hired his best friend, because he's good looking, to earn $400,000 in Washington, D.C. as a trade commissioner. Premier said it himself, because he's good looking. 7.5 months later, not one trade deal done. And he's paying him $400,000 of your tax dollars. Wow. Honorable Speaker, on the economy, the Premier promised to make things better. It's worse. Grocery prices are higher than they've ever been. Cost of living is higher than it's ever been. Fuel tax, $550 when they put it back. Premier canceled the indexation of basic personal taxes. He canceled the education property tax rebate. He canceled the phase-out that we had committed to, costing you $400 million. He canceled infrastructure projects, canceled committed senior homes, and then he re-announced them later, like he always does. None of the hard work, but wants to try to take the glory. And now, Manitobans are realizing there's no glory to be had by this failed NDP government. Our former government left them $373 million surplus, and that is confirmed in the Auditor General report. Regardless of what they say, $373 million was confirmed in 23-24. And now they've taken that surplus and turned it into a $4 billion deficit. Wow. Honorable Speaker, it's laughable. It's unacceptable that this throne speech doesn't even address the bare needs of what Manitobans are asking for. After years of accusing the previous government of whatever they want to accuse us of, because it doesn't even matter anymore because they don't live in reality, they are making every single mistake and breaking every single promise that they committed to. They can spin the facts all they want, but Manitobans are living the life of a worse Manitoba under this NDP. We balanced the public accounts in 2019 and again in 2023, confirmed in black and white by the Auditor General. Our PC government grew the economy by 1% year after year. The NDP can't even grow their economy by 1%. They're actually targeted below that. Under the previous government, we had record increases in this province. Unemployment was at all-time low. And under this NDP government, it's at an all-time high. Their legacy is one of failure. That's why this throne speech is now called For Promise to Failure. Manitobans can't afford that. Do you feel safer under this NDP government? Are grocery prices cheaper? Are the roads better? Is cost of living going up and down? Has our economy grown in any sector under this NDP? They want to talk about a gold mine. We started the gold mine.
Here, here.
Not them. He wants to talk about Port of Churchill like it's going to be done tomorrow. The Prime Minister says it's at least 10 years away. Left off the mega project list twice. They have no real plans on that side. Other than the Premier standing up with American alcohol, supporting American businesses. That is this NDP government. Mining was 6th in this province in 2023 under the previous government. Now it's 26th. Oh, those are the facts. While other provinces are growing, Manitobans falling farther behind. Don't have to take my word for it. The facts are there. And the biggest fact of all is you are seeing it in your every single day life. While this government continues to divide Manitobans, we will work for the benefit of all Manitobans. We will grow our economy. We will create jobs and uplift Manitobans so that they can get great jobs. They can buy their first home and they can have a secure retirement that everyone dreams about. Under this NDP government, none of that is possible. The sad reality is none of it is even reflected in this throne speech. There is literally nothing to talk about when it comes to concrete, tangible deliverables for Manitobans today. Studies, future plans, future promises, nothing for today. That's not a Manitoba that I want to live in under this NDP government. I wanted to live in Manitoba when I moved here in 2006 and fell in love with the province. A province that was booming, growing, vibrant, amazing downtown, amazing communities, amazing municipalities, a ton of tourism and investments happening in this province. That's why I chose to make Manitoba home. And I'm going to fight for that Manitoba. And everyone on this side of the House is going to make sure that happens, Honourable Speaker. I came here over 20 years ago, Honourable Speaker, and I never imagined having the honour of standing in this building and to represent the values of the province that I fell in love with from day one when I got traded here or when I moved here from Ottawa. Best decision of my life. Best decision after that is to now represent this amazing party going forward and give Manitobans an amazing opportunity to unleash Manitoba. That's what we need to get back to. I chose to make it my home. I started my family here. I started my businesses here. I've experienced all the ups and downs there has to offer in this province. And I continue to keep pushing forward, to keep working for you, working for a better Manitoba, striving for a better Manitoba. That is not reflected in this throne speech. I got into politics because I love this province. Anybody that knows me from my playing days or my entrepreneur days or just seeing me up and about, I love this province. And I'm going to fight for this province. I want this province to win. We can make it win. It's not about a personal victory like that side of the House. It's not about the Premier taking all the glory. It's about the team that we have on this side of the House. It's about the vision. We believe that if you work hard as a Manitoba, you should also succeed. You should keep more money in your pocket. You should have a bright future ahead of you, an opportunity to buy a house, to start a family, to have savings and look forward to retirement in a great province with a thriving economy, not an economy that's ranked dead last under this NDP. As a leader of the opposition, I'm going to be here every single day, continuing to call out this failed NDP government for all of their failures and broken promises that are reflected in this throne speech. We, as a province, are going to unleash the power of Manitoba together. I can't promise you that I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. That's the humanity, that's humility on this side of the House. The Premier will never stand up and do that. Ever. That tells you about your leadership. On this side of the House, we will work for you every day. A government where you, the people, the everyday ordinary folks who make Manitoba what it is, will be front and center. A government that protects you, a government that respects you. I want you to know I'm going to work as hard as I've ever worked to earn your trust, to earn your vote, to earn our way into government and reflect your values in a throne speech, not like the one that this government has presented forward. This is a new era for the PC Party, a new day. We are the Progressive Conservative Party of Manitoba, and we will reflect your needs, your desires, and your passions in this chamber to make Manitoba better. Honourable Speaker, it shows you the class of this Premier when I asked him a question on healthcare and affordability and economy. He wants to attack members on this side of the House for our logo. That's how low he goes. He wants to make fun of a logo. I'm talking about families that can't afford to put food on the table. He wants to make fun of the logo of the PC Party. Make fun of it all you want. It's not going to change the fact that you don't actually care about what Manitobans want, as is reflected in your throne speech, as is reflected in you saying, old, tired Manitoba, as is reflected by no plan to grow Manitoba today. I am proud to stand on this side of the House. The wisdom of the past will inform the common sense approach we take today. It means we respect institutions and traditions, that we have evolved over time for a better Manitoba, that we respect the laws and the democratic traditions handed down by the founding people of Canada and Manitoba, the Indigenous people, the French, the British, Manitoba Red River Métis, along with many, many other people from around the world that have come to Manitoba to make Manitoba their home, to make Manitoba a province it can be, but not under this failing NDP government. Where else on earth, Honourable Speaker, and the Premier actually made fun of this today, I don't know why, where else on earth could you elect the first Muslim leader of a conservative party to be elected to become the official leader of the opposition? Right here in Manitoba, on this side of the House, Honourable Speaker. We all have a story to tell. I, as the leader of the opposition, look forward to hearing that story. Look forward to working for you. Together, we're going to build a better Manitoba. This throne speech doesn't take any of that into account. It takes into account the broken promises and re-announcements by this NDP. Our PC team and members on this side of the House are committed to that. We will be principled and robust opposition, asking questions of Manitobans, asking them, why are they failing? Why are they not delivering on their promises? We will continue to do the hard work every single day for you to make Manitoba better, Honourable Speaker. With that, we will not support this government's continual failures and broken promises. Promises made not in good faith with Manitobans, but made to mislead them, Honourable Speaker. We will not be supporting this throne speech because Manitoba deserves better, Honourable Speaker. With that, Honourable Speaker, I move, seconded by the MLA for Roblin, that the motion be amended by adding at the end of the following words, but this House regrets that the provincial government has A, once again failed to present a plan that reflects the realities faced by Manitobans. And B, failed to present a credible or transparent fiscal plan while making yet another false promise to balance the budget despite record deficits, deteriorating credit outlooks, and no path to sustainability. And misstated progress in the healthcare system while Manitobans continue to face unacceptable emergency wait times, closed rural services, long surgical backlogs, and a worsening shortage of frontline staff in many regions. And D, failed to address the growing cost of living crisis, offering short-term rhetoric instead of long-term affordability measures, leaving families, seniors, farmers, and small businesses without meaningful relief. And E, failed to address the growing cost of living crisis. I think I read that one. E, failed to offer a serious plan to rebuild the economy despite job losses, a weakening investment climate, and stalled major infrastructure projects that are vital to Manitoba competitiveness. And F, misrepresented the provincial government record on public safety as crime rates, drug trafficking, and violent incidents continue to rise in many communities across the province, with no comprehensive strategy to tackle the root cause or support law enforcement. And G, failed to support municipalities which continue to face downloading infrastructure deficits and cost pressures without stable long-term funding. And H, failed to address the severe impact of drought, wildfire, climate-driven disaster, providing no concrete commitment to build provincial resilience, protect agriculture, or support affected communities beyond vague reviews and slogans. And I continued to overpromise on northern development and the Port of Churchill, offering speculative, uncosted announcements without supporting evidence, timelines, or guarantees of feasibility, transparency, or value for Manitobans. And J, ignored the urgent need of Manitoba students with declining educational outcomes, teacher shortages, and a lack of clear standards or accountability for improving classroom supports. And K, relied on political branding rather than measurable progress, offering a speech heavy on self-congratulations and light on evidence, vision, or a realistic plan for the future. As a consequence, Honorable Speaker, of these and many other failings, the provincial government has thereby lost the trust and confidence of the people of Manitoba and this House. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, please. Is there leave to have the amendment considered moved as written as opposed to how it was said? Is there leave? Agreed and so ordered. The motion then is moved by the Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition, seconded by the MLA for Roblin, and the motion is in order. So it's been moved and seconded that the motion be amended by adding at the end the following words. But this House regrets that the provincial government has A, once again failed to present a plan that reflects dispense. No. A, once again failed to present a plan that reflects the realities faced by Manitobans, and B, failed to present a credible or transparent fiscal plan while making yet another false promise to balance the budget despite record deficits, deteriorating credit outlooks, and no path to sustainability, and C, misstated progress in the healthcare system while Manitobans continue to face unacceptable emergency room wait times, closed rural services, long surgical backlogs, and a worsening shortage of frontline staff in many regions, and D, fail to address the growing cost of living crisis, offering short-term rhetoric instead of long-term affordability measures, leaving families, seniors, farmers, and small businesses without meaningful relief, and E, fail to offer a serious plan to rebuild the economy despite job losses, a weakening investment climate, and stalled major infrastructure projects that are vital to Manitoba's competitiveness, and F, misrepresented the provincial government's record on public safety as crime rates, drug trafficking, and violent incidents continue to rise in many communities across the province, with no comprehensive strategy to tackle the root causes or support law enforcement, and G, failed to support municipalities which continue to face downloading infrastructure deficits and cost pressures without stable long-term funding, and H, failed to address the severe impacts of drought, wildfire, and climate-driven disasters, providing no concrete commitments to build provincial resilience, protect agriculture, or support affected communities beyond vague reviews and slogans. And I continued to overpromise on northern development and the Port of Churchill, offering speculative, uncosted announcements without supporting evidence, timelines, or guarantees of feasibility, transparency, or value for Manitobans. And J, ignored the urgent needs of Manitoba students with declining educational outcomes, teacher shortages, and a lack of clear standards or accountability for improving classroom supports. And K, relied on political branding rather than measurable progress, offering a speech heavy on self-congratulation and light on evidence, vision, or a realistic plan for the future. As a consequence of these and many other failings, the provincial government has thereby lost the trust and confidence of the people of Manitoba and this House. The amendment is in order, and when this matter is again before the House, the debate will be open. The hour now being 12:30, this House is adjourned and stands adjourned until 1:30 on Monday.